All right. We got a pop filter, man. Yeah, hopefully it makes a difference. We're leveling up here. I got a little fuzzy boy on my microphone, and we got a pop filter. So some background noise. It's gonna be filtered out. We're moving up just a little bit. Made some upgrades, and I also got this what's it called? Logitech G Hub program that makes me craft different sound recording profiles here, and I can even do custom effects like this. But we're not gonna go ham. Only in moderation here. But we're back. Hello, welcome back. Oscar Guy here. It is the Oscar Guy Here podcast. Thanks for listening in. This is episode 7, I believe. Can you double check that for me, Jamie? Jamie, as in my assistant, and by my assistant I mean me because I don't have an assistant. Yeah, this is episode 7. Welcome back. It's been a little bit, and I apologize. I think it's been a few weeks, at least, maybe even almost a month. I think my last episode was like October 24th or something like that, a little bit before Halloween. And then we had the election, and without getting into details, let's just say that week was a little intense for me. So I kind of wanted to unplug, to say the least. And then I kind of just spent that time, catching up on some films and, catching up on the latest developments in the film industry without getting too saturated with all of the insanity going on. So it is what it is. We're back. And we got a lot to cover, man. I've been watching a lot of movies. And yeah, we got the Gotham nominations that came out a while back. Some other developments and whatnot. Paramount has released the first 7 minutes of Smile 2 online, but you can only watch it if you smile for the entire time. See ya. Absolutely see ya. Literally 1984. Don't like that whatsoever. That was one of the tweets that came out maybe a week or so ago. And what world are we living in now is my question. Don't need to answer it, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I hear Smile 2 is pretty good. I didn't even see the first Smile, but I heard Smile 2 is pretty good. And who's the lead actress in that one? She is apparently fantastic in it. Naomi Scott. Yeah. I hear she's really, really good in it. Like Pearl levels good. Like a very, very good horror performance. A lot of great horror movies this year, man. And of course we're going to be talking about Nosferatu a little bit. But yeah, don't like that. I would not like to. No, I don't want to subject myself to 1984 levels of media consumption. So I'm just scrolling on Twitter right now to see anything's happening. A lot of the for your consideration ad campaigns are being released for these films. And I noticed that Anora put one out, and their FYC, they're pushing in categories, obviously Best Picture, Best Director for Sean Baker, Original Screenplay for Sean Baker, Best Actress Mikey Madison, Cinematography Drew Daniels, which I think would be pretty inspired. Even though a lot of it's handheld, but some of it isn't. There's some great shots in that film. Best editing, Sean Baker. I don't know whether they go out of the way for, films that are edited by their own director or not, but it is what it is. And then supporting actor, Yura Borisov, which is now the supporting actor from that film that people are feeling is going to happen because he is the heart of that film. And I definitely see it happening. And then Mark Edelstein, who plays Yvonne, a.k.a. Vanya in the film, Anora's love interest. And he's great too. But who I'm not seeing here is the gentleman who plays Tauros. Karan Karagulian, I think is his name. He's in every Sean Baker film, and he is always so great. And honestly, dude, by the way, I did rewatch Anora. I went to rewatch Anora in theaters a couple of weeks ago. And it not only did it hold up, but it is even better because out of all the films I saw at the Philly Film Festival, that's the one that's stuck with me the most. That's the one that I've been thinking about the most. It's got a long-lasting effect, to say the very least, and it was more of a romp. It was so much more fun and even more tragic on a second viewing. And the audience dynamic was a little a little different as well. So it was a unique experience. But man, what a movie! If you haven't seen it, it's so good. It's so good. But I want to say my personal favorite supporting performance in that film. I love Yuri Borisov, but Karan Karagulian as Tauros is really like the comedic like train of that film. Like, wow. I mean, he is, God, some of his line deliveries are just golden. I mean, there's a moment when he like checks his phone in the middle of a church service and he just lets out this no, and that is where the film really takes off, and that's where, like, when he says the word no, that punchline, it's just like the movie's off to the races, and he definitely carries a lot of the film's comedic timing, I think. Oh, he's so good. So I'm a little bit disappointed that they're not including him in their FYC ad campaign. So shout out to Karan Karagulian. But yeah, I think it can be nominated in all these categories. I think editing and cinematography are outside shots, but picture, director, original screenplay, actress, supporting actor, definitely shoo-ins. And that's only 5 Oscar nominations. I feel like it can get more than that. So maybe it could get into editing or cinematography. It definitely deserves all of that. So yeah, that's Anora's FYC campaign. And this news was just dropped, I think, yesterday. Conan O'Brien is hosting the Oscars next year. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is so inspired. I love that. I absolutely love that. Jimmy Kimmel's been hosting it the past couple of years, and he's fine. I don't have anything against him. But Conan O'Brien, man, is one of the funniest dudes out there. I miss his talk show. I think a lot of other people miss him. He's just a golden. He's just absolute gold, and he's gonna deliver. It's gonna be great. This is definitely some good news. So I can't wait. It's gonna be kind of early next year. It's gonna be March 2nd, dude. March 2nd, man. Let's go. It'll be here before you know it, y'all. I can't wait. I cannot wait. So Conan's gonna be hosting, and yeah, I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait. Let's see if there's anything else that I am missing here. Yara Borisov, Ivan. Yeah, the Anora marketing team is kind of killing it with all of their. They're like posting like these little mini trailers and like stills of all of the main characters in the film, and I'm really liking it. I'm really enjoying it. Audiences are like kind of like hit or miss on it for some reason. Like there's a lot of like hate towards it for whatever reason. And I'm not really understanding it, but you know, it is what it is. Let's see what else we got here. Did I tweet anything else? I don't. I usually check. I usually like tweet on my Twitter or X, whatever, profile, and I kind of circle back on it whenever I want to talk about it on the podcast. But I think I've covered pretty much everything. Um, yeah, I've pretty much covered everything. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay. So let's talk about. I didn't realize that I haven't talked about Blitz yet. I think the last episode I talked about my Philly Film Festival experience, and I talked about the first four films I saw, which were Honora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, and Nickel Boys. But I went back for closing night to see the closing film, which was Blitz, and I don't think I've talked about it yet. So I saw Blitz, and it did little to nothing for me. I really didn't. I didn't really like it. I wish I did. I wish I would like it more than I did. There was just something about it that felt so just messy and tonally just all over the place and just ingenuine and manufactured and straightforward, and I don't know. I think it's a film that means well, but it just execution wise, it just doesn't deliver anything unique really at all. It's very conventional. But even then, like, I think the biggest problem I have with it is because it doesn't really know what it wants to be and how it wants to convey its story. Like, there are times where the movie's just like really like harrowing, like almost for no reason. And then it turns around, like it tries to do like an Oliver Twist thing at one point. And then it tries to do this like, oh, here's a dance sequence with all this like great music, and oh, this is a culture that's trying to thrive despite, the threat of war and stuff like that. And it's just like there were some scenes, like especially like the dance sequences and like the musical, like I was like, how long? Like, what's the point? What's the point of this? Like it felt just so shallow, and God, it was really a letdown. It was really a letdown. It's not terrible. I mean, technically the film is impressive. I got to give it that. The score is really good. The production design, the costume design, it's shot very well. I don't think it really deserves a cinematography nomination, but it's shot pretty well. The performances for the most part are good. Saoirse Ronan is fine. I honestly don't think she does enough to get an Oscar nomination. If she does, that's great. I love her. Saoirse Ronan's a great actress. Obviously. But if she doesn't get a nomination, I wouldn't be surprised. But I kind of see if they're going to nominate like Judi Dench in Belfast, they're going to nominate Saoirse Ronan in Blitz. That is if they respond to Blitz in the same way as Belfast. So yeah, I don't know, man. And the titular kid in the film, he's fine. He didn't do anything that blew me away. Yeah, just it was a dud, man. It was an absolute dud. And Steve McQueen, he's a great director, but like, I don't know, man. It could have been so much better, and it just felt very. It was an empty shell. It's what it felt like. So, I gave it a 2 point. I think at first I gave it like a 2.8 or a 2.7, and then the more I sat with it and thought about it, the more and more I disliked it. So, I think I ended up with a 2.6. So, yeah, I just wasn't a fan. Wasn't a fan. But in any case, after the movie, I went to a little closing party, a little after party with some friends. And, it was a good time. It was a great time, to kind of wash that down a little bit. So, yeah, Blitz, you can keep that one. It'll probably get nominated for a lot of things in any case, but, it is what it is. So, that was Blitz, and I had generally a very, very good time at the Philly Film Festival, and I'm definitely going to be going back there next year, and we'll see if we can get a press pass next year. I don't know. It just kind of depends on my subscription, my subscribers, my YouTube subscribers. I need to get some numbers up, get my name out there a little bit more. Bigger following, maybe some accreditations and stuff like that. It is what it is. I'll take it 1 year at a time. Don't care if it takes me 5 years, 10 years. I'm doing it. So then I watched, what else did I watch? I watched Barry Lyndon for the first time, because I got that on Criterion, I think earlier this year or late last year. And that was the afternoon after I saw Blitz, so that was October 26th. And I enjoyed it. There was something about it that I didn't really connect with. I wish I cared more about the titular character and the story. And I don't know. I just didn't really get in there. I didn't really connect with it. It didn't really click with me. But it's shot incredibly well. The screenplay is fantastic. Technically, it's a marvel. And Kubrick, I really dig his aesthetic and the way he writes his characters, or the way he directs. Really, he doesn't really write characters. He does a lot of adaptations, not a lot of original. I don't know, whatever. I don't know where I'm going with that, but I like Kubrick's aesthetic for sure, and I understood what he was trying to do, but I don't know. It just didn't. I wasn't completely won over by it, but I liked it. I really liked it. It's definitely not one of my favorite Kubricks, and I know people hail that one as his underrated, undersung cinematic masterwork. And I get it, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to revisit it at some point down the road. There was something about it, I just couldn't get in there. Also, it's very long, but long movies usually don't bother me if I'm won over by it. But yeah, I still have the Criterion, so I'll circle back on it when I need to. What else? I also watched His Three Daughters, which is on Netflix, and that's the Azazel Jacobs film starring Natasha Lyonne, Carrie Coons, I think is her name. Carrie Coon, sorry. And Elizabeth Olsen. And Jovan Adepo, who is from Fences and Babylon. And he is a fantastic actor. And I really wish he was in more films. And he was kind of a surprise because he was in the film and I was like, who is that actor? I know who that is, but can't put my finger on it. But he's great anyway. So that's the sign of a great actor, where you recognize him, but you don't it doesn't click with you because he's a good character actor. That's what good character actors do, So he was great in the film. And obviously all three of the female leads, Carrie Coon, Natasha Lyonne, Elizabeth Olsen, they're all fantastic. I really liked this movie. I thought it was great. It's one of my favorite screenplays of the year. I think I'm going to be championing this film to get nominated for original screenplay, because it's really that good. I really want it to get a nomination. I think it's good enough to get a nomination for sure. And the screenplay categories, there's not a whole lot of steep competition this year. So I feel like it could happen. And there's been a lot of buzz for Natasha Lyonne for her performance, and I think she did get a Gotham nomination, which we'll get to. But I think Carrie Coon and Elizabeth Olsen are just as good. In fact, I think Carrie Coon is my favorite performance in the film. But again, they're all fantastic. Yeah, really, it's a bit of a tearjerker. It's not exactly it's not exactly an upper, this film, but I think it's definitely worth watching. It explores a very common theme, a very difficult theme, some difficult subject matter, but very necessary, and it's very cathartic. It's about three estranged sisters who come together. They each kind of have very different personalities, and they lead different lives, and they have to come together when their father is on his deathbed, and he is in hospice at his apartment where Natasha Lyonne's character actually lives. So they all have to come together and kind of work stuff out, and go through this process. And it's very good, very, very good. I highly recommend it. Kind of one of the sleeper hits of the year, if I'm being honest. So very good. His Three Daughters, very, very good. And then I rewatched Anora, like I said, even better on a rewatch. Probably going to be one of my favorite films of the year. And then I watched Conclave. I went and saw Conclave, and I also really liked that. Very good. Very, very good. I watched it a couple days before the election. And that was really, we're really lucky to have a film like this come out around election time, and it kind of put things in perspective in regards to, obvious reasons. Not a one-to-one match to the political climate in America, but it's definitely, there's a lot of things and themes in the film and processes that kind of carry over. But it was really good. Ray Fiennes is fantastic. He's the king of giving very understated internal performances with kind of little bouts of I guess, showing he can show his emotions bombastically and understated, very seamlessly. So he is very good. And the supporting cast, man. Stanley Tucci, great performance. John Lithgow's great, as always. Isabella Rossellini, there's no way she's getting an Oscar nomination. I mean, if she does, I'll be kind of shocked. But she is very good in the film, and she has a big presence in the film. But she's in the movie for like a few minutes. And that's it. And it's not really a Beatrice Straight in Network kind of situation, because you see that performance and you're like, okay, I get why she won. But Isabella Rossellini it's a much different performance than that, and she's in the film even less. So I don't think that's going to happen. But she's wonderful all the same. And then there was some other there was another cardinal in that film that was really good. I think it was Lucien. Well, he was good too. Lucien Massamati, I think is his name. Sergio Castelletto. Yeah, he played Tedesco. He was really good. He plays more of like a conservative traditionalist cardinal in the film. He was very good. So the whole cast, man. I mean, what a cast that was. But yeah, highly recommend Conclave. I did read somewhere that they had to basically rebuild the Sistine Chapel, or the Vatican, rather. Is the Sistine Chapel and the Vatican the same thing? I don't even know that. I'm an idiot, right? Sistine Chapel. Okay, I think it's the same thing. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Capital in Vatican City. Yeah, sure. So they had to they couldn't film there, so they had to recreate all of these settings. So we're talking about a production design nomination, right? Am I right though? I think it deserves it. Absolutely. I think it deserves production design. I think it deserves cinematography. Beautifully shot movie. I think it deserves best sound. A lot of great sound mixing work in the film in regards to all the talking and the mixing with the score, and like the very ASMR like discreet like details, orally, I guess, audibly. What am I even saying? Like a lot of like folding of papers and like envelope stamps and like zippers and cloth stuff, like really, really finely tuned sound work in the film. I can see it happening. I can definitely see it happening. I think it's deserving. So it'll be a big technical player. And of course, Ray Fiennes, I think, is a shoo-in for Best Actor nomination. And I don't know if the supporting players can get in. Maybe Tucci, kind of an outside shot, but maybe he can get in. Director's kind of a long shot, and of course it'll get nominated for picture. I'm certain of it. So yeah, Conclave was really good. I really liked it. Really, really liked it. I played my boomer card, if you know what I mean. It's very popular with the older crowd, which, that's fine. But it's good. It made a lot of money because of that. A lot of adults went to go see it. I mean, I went to go see it on a Sunday afternoon matinee, and it was jammed, dude. It was filled up. The film does have like a twist at the very end, which is interesting, a very interesting choice. And I don't know whether I love it or hate it. I was a little bit thrown off by it, but in the context of the rest of the film, I was like, okay, yeah, I get what it's trying to do. But it was good. It was really good. Yeah, man, I watched a lot of movies. I got 4 more here. The Outrun. I saw The Outrun with Saoirse Ronan. It was okay. It was all right. She's great in it. She's wonderful. It kind of reminded me of To Leslie a couple years ago. I mean, it's a much different film in terms of its, I guess, plot, because the circumstances are different, the setting is different, the presentation is different. It's less straightforward than To Leslie was, because The Outrun it's kind of told in a non-linear fashion, and there's also some narration and some like real life like injections that happens in the film, and so much so that it becomes a little tired, I guess. It's a little messy when it came to its direction and presentation. It had a lot of great ideas, but it didn't really come together that well, and it was a little overlong. So that's what made the movie kind of meh, in my opinion. But the great aspects of the film, it was shot very well. It was very well acted, not only by Saoirse Ronan, but the supporting cast as well. But it was really her show. Let's be honest. It's really her show. And then again, the sound work was really good too, surprisingly. Really great sound work. It got a ton of nominations at the British, I think BFI, is it BFI or BIFF? The British Independent Film Awards. Or BIFA, yeah, sorry. Yeah. It got a lot of BIFA nominations. But yeah, it was fine. It wasn't great, but it was good. It was pretty good. And Saoirse Ronan, I guess, could be nominated for this. It really depends on how she's campaigned. I think she's been getting campaigned a lot when the film was, making its rounds. But it's kind of died off from, it's kind of died off a little bit. So at this point, I think we're just going to have to wait until some of these precursors happen and see if she still gets into Golden Globe and to Critics' Choice. I feel like she'll get in at BAFTA probably, and I have a feeling she might miss SAG. But I don't know. I think she's still on the cusp of an Oscar nomination, and that's kind of weird because I had her at number 1 for Best Actress for a while, and that's when I didn't see the film. I was just going off of people's thoughts on her and her campaign, and the reactions I've been hearing, but after seeing the film, I'm a little bit more on the fence, but I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't seem like an Oscar-winning performance for sure. Maybe a nomination. So that's The Outrun. Pretty good. Oh, pretty good. And then I rewatched Nebraska, the Alexander Payne film. I think the last time I saw that was maybe 10 years ago, close to when it came out. And I don't know, I felt like throwing it on. It's great. I really like it. I really like Nebraska. Alexander Payne has this certain vibe there's a certain vibe when it comes to his films. This very dark comedy drama. He's got his own style in terms of his writing and in terms of what he expects of his actors. It's a very interesting filmmaker. And of course he did Holdovers this past year. So Nebraska is probably one of my favorites of his. I don't like it maybe as much as Sideways. I think I like it a little better than The Descendants, and I don't like it quite as much as The Holdovers. So it's kind of like maybe number 3-ish as far as my Payne ranking. But it's good, man. Bruce Dern kills it. He won Best Actor at the Cannes Film Festival for his performance, which is a very inspired pick for sure. And Will Forte is, of course, very good. June Squibb, man, kills it in this film. I mean, there were some scenes in this film where I was like, damn, June Squibb, what a badass. She crushes it in this film. She's like kind of the heart of the film, but she's also a very cynical character, strangely. So there's this weird dichotomy there. Really interesting. But Nebraska's great. I recommend that one too. And then I watched A Different Man, which is the Sebastian Stan and Adam Pearson vehicle from A24. It came out earlier this year. Wild. This movie's wild, bro. Crazy movie. Really deep. A lot goes on. There's layers and layers and layers you can peel back in this film, as far as its themes and as far as its metaphors and what the character goes through and his struggles, and just like the dark, tragic comedy of his situation. It kind of, in a way, reminded me of A Serious Man. This story of like this guy who just like can't catch a break, and everything that happens to him just sets him back more and more and more, and he's just like this tortured soul just because that he decided to go forward with something that thought was going to make his life better, but in fact it was the catalyst for his life to basically fall apart. It's on if you guys don't know, it's about this guy who has this facial disfigurement, and he's an aspiring actor, and he has trouble getting work. He has to, resort to very niche acting jobs that kind of feeds off of his malformations. Sorry, wrong word. And he gets this groundbreaking surgery, experimental surgery, that he basically peels off his disfigured face, and now he has a Sebastian Stan face, which is this perfect, male figure, I guess. But he's the same person, really. He's a different man, because it turns out that this is not really a spoiler, because it's kind of earlier in the film, but after he has the surgery, he basically assumes the name of another man, and he basically tries to live a life as a different man. And then this acting job comes along with Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about Renate Reinsve's character. God, this playwright that he meets when he still had his malformed face. Um, yeah, I man, for me to keep explaining this film, I'll need to like even circle back even further because there's details that I missed. There's a lot there's a lot of moving pieces to this film, and there was a point where I was like, my brain was full, and I was like, oh my god, there's so much to keep track of. There's so many different things happening. There's so many layers of allegory here. You know, Adam Pearson comes along who actually has the same malformations. Who is wonderful in this movie, by the way, almost steals the film. And Sebastian Stan is fantastic in this movie too, and so is Renate Reinsve. Yeah, there's a lot that happens in this film, and it's definitely going to require me to maybe rewatch it again to kind of sink into it a little bit more and kind of see things that I missed and whatnot. So, but this movie really got me thinking, and there's points of this film, especially near the end, that had me rolling. Like really darkly funny, really shocking, really unexpected twists and turns, like wild movie, wild movie. And the score is fantastic too. The score really reminded me of like a Hitchcock score, like 50s noir, you know, a lot of strings, a lot of, you know, horns, very dark, very brooding. But also there's like a tinge of like jazz, which is really cool. Really great. Really great. So that's A Different Man. I think it's fantastic. I think the more I think about it, the more I appreciate it. So I kind of want to watch that again, like pretty soon. There is some body horror in it. You know, I hear like people have been joking around that A Different Man is basically The Substance, but for men, for boys, which is kind of funny. It deals less with body dysmorphia though, and more about, I guess, like viewing yourself as the same person or a different person despite your malformations. So it's malformities. Malformities or malformations? Pick one, James. Which one is it? What's the word? What's the word? I'll just keep saying it. Whatever word comes into mind, I'll say it. But yeah, there was some body horror. You know, when he's peeling off his face, I was like, okay, this is the type of thing I can't do. I can't do it, man. I was kind of looking away from the screen for a little bit, and I was like, okay, it's all going to be okay. It's all going to be all right. But I was okay. I was okay in the end. It was just face stuff. There was no like internal gore or anything like that. It was just his face. And it could have been a lot worse, but still, it was like, ugh, there was a couple parts where I was a little cringing a little bit. But great movie. A Different Man. Really enjoyed it. And then the last thing on my Letterboxd diary, I watched 12 Angry Men. I rewatched 12 Angry Men a couple nights ago because I'm a nerd. Because I was summoned for jury duty, and I can talk about it now because I'm no longer a juror. I was a juror. I was summoned for jury duty. I went. I was picked to be a juror on a case, and that night when I was picked, I was like, well, there's only one thing I can do now: rewatch 12 Angry Men. So I rewatched 12 Angry Men, and it's a perfect movie. Sidney Lumet's debut feature, incredible. It's so good. It's the best movie. It's one of the best movies that takes place basically in one room for the entire duration. The way he blocks, the way he sets the movie up, and the way he introduces each of the characters, and their own, insecurities and views and biases and situations, and how he balances everything, and like this, it's a masterpiece, man. In script writing, it's a masterpiece. It's an acting masterclass from Henry Fonda and company. Lee J. Cobb, man, kills it, bro. He's definitely the more bombastic performance in this film. And, sometimes I like the bombastic performances. Sometimes I like the more understated ones. In this case, Lee J. Cobb's huge performance in this film is probably my favorite. He is just fantastic. And of course, Henry Fonda kills it. And everybody's great in this movie. The way it's shot, the way it's presented, a lot of visual cues that are interesting. It's great, man. If you haven't seen 12, I only watched it for the first time maybe a couple years ago, but man, unbelievable. Sidney Lumet, what a filmmaker, man. What a filmmaker. Amazing. So, but then I went to jury duty, and I waited around for a couple hours, and then they said that they settled the case, and then we had to go home. So, that was it. That was it. I don't even know what the case was really about. I just showed up, and they were like, all right, they settled it. Y'all can go. I ain't complaining. But yeah, that's what I've watched since the last episode. I know that was quite a bit. And, I guess, sorry, I apologize again for taking so long to do another episode. Because, yeah. It's been a pretty wild few weeks, to say the least. But we're back. That's all that matters. We're gonna keep the train rolling, and the season is about to ramp up, folks. I think Golden Globe nominations are coming out pretty soon. I think it's gonna be around the beginning of December, maybe in about a month. I would say about 3 to 4 weeks we'll be getting Golden Globe nominations. And that's really where things begin, honestly, with the major precursors. So, can't wait for that. But in the meantime, the Gotham Award nominations came out a couple weeks ago. And yeah, the Gothams they're definitely not 1-to-1, but it's kind of sort of like a primer for the award season. It's kind of where things like start unofficially. Like this is like kind of like the first like minor precursor of the season where like things like performances and films and scripts and whatnot, and directors and stuff kind of have like a baseline, like a rough baseline. And a lot of the times, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes a handful of eventual Oscar nominees show up at the Gotham Award nominations. I know that like Ke Huy Quan won Best Supporting Actor here, and he went on to win the Oscar. Charles Melton won the Gotham for supporting performance, even over Divine Joy Randolph, and he wasn't even nominated for the Oscar. Justice for Melton. But you get the idea. It's kind of a primer. It's a primer for the season. So let's just, just for the hell of it, let's just run through the Gotham Award nominations. And we'll start from, I guess, the bottom here. Breakthrough Performer. We got Lily Colias and Good One, Ryan Destiny in The Fire Inside, Maisie Stella in My Old AS, Isaac Wong in Dee Dee, and Brandon Wilson in Nickel Boys. I did see Dee Dee, and Isaac Wong is really great in that movie. He plays the titular boy, high school boy. He's really good. I wasn't a huge fan of Dee Dee. I thought it was pretty good, but I wasn't completely... I don't know. It didn't completely work for me, but I thought it was great. It conveyed 2008 teenagehood to a T. The way that they recreated the MySpace experience really brought me back, and like the old primitive YouTube UI and everything like that. And that I really liked. That was my favorite part of the film, really, is the 2008 of it all. Because I was in high school in 2008, so it really hit a spot for me, for sure. But as a film itself, it was like, give or take. And Joan Chen is wonderful too in the film. He plays his mother. Brandon Wilson and Nickel Boys, great pick. the other he's one of the boys, if you will, one of two boys in that film, and the other one was played by Ethan Harris, I think, and he is equally as good as Brandon Wilson, but they went with Brandon Wilson. Fantastic film. I can't wait to watch that again. But outstanding supporting performance. We have 10 nominees, I believe. We have Yura Borisov from Anora. That's where it starts. His campaign starts here. Kieran Culkin from Real Pain, of course. Danielle Deadweiler, Piano Lesson. Bridget Lundy Payne and I Saw the TV Glow. Really good pick. That film shows up a lot here. Natasha Lyonne, His Three Daughters. Great. Clarence Macklin, Sing Sing. Sing Sing hanging onto a thread. I really hope it goes all the way. We'll see. Katie O'Brien in Love Lies Bleeding. Good pick. She's great in that film. Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, of course. Adam Pearson, Different Man. Hell yes. And Brian Tyree Henry, The Fire Inside. Maybe he can pull off another surprise Oscar nomination, or maybe a precursor nomination or something, because he did that with Causeway a couple years ago. But yeah, who would win? I mean, I think Kieran Culkin is kind of the obvious choice here, but maybe something else can happen here. I'm not sure, but this is a great category. Only thing I'm not really seeing here is I'm not seeing Felicity Jones in The Brutalist, which is just as good. She's just as good as Guy Pearce in that film, and some people even say she's better. She's only in the second half of the film anyway, but she is deserving of a nomination. And then Joan Chen in Dee Dee is not here, which is interesting. They nominated Isaac Wong in Dee Dee, but not Joan Chen. I do think that their voting process for these nominations is a little bit unorthodox in a way that they have their own like body of voters and their own committee per category, so there's not a lot of cross nominations happening. Like, these voters are not they're not voting for all the categories. They're like, they get these specific people to vote for this category, and then these specific people to vote for this other category, and it's kind of weird. So I think that's pretty much why some performances in a film will show up and then they won't show up in director, for instance. But anyway, it's a little weird. And then we have outstanding lead performance. We have Pamela Anderson, The Last Showgirl, Adrian Brody, The Brutalist, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Hard Truths, Nicole Kidman, Baby Girl, Keith Kupferer in Ghostlight. This was kind of a curveball for me because I didn't even know about this film. And I think the only reason you really know about this film is it's been at festivals, and I obviously haven't been at festivals. This film wasn't at the Philly Film Festival, I'll tell you that. So that was kind of a curveball, but I hear his performance is really great. Mikey Madison and Nora, of course. Demi Moore, Substance. Let's go. Sarah Sharon in Outrun. There you go. And Justice Smith in I Saw the TV Glow. Very cool. I still need to see that movie. I still need to see it. It's been on my list. Breakthrough Director. I don't know. I think I only know one of these, and that's Vera Drew for the People's Joker. Suchi Tawlidi, Girls Will Be Girls. India Donaldson, good one. Alessandra Lacoraza in The Summers. And Madi Fleifel, To a Land Unknown. Best Screenplay. Between the Temples. My buddy Rob actually told me that he saw Between the Temples, and he said it was okay, but it got nominated for Best Screenplay at the Gotham Awards, so that's interesting. Evil Does Not Exist. Hell yeah, brother! One of my favorite films of the year. Won't get nominated at the Oscars. Pisses me off, but hey, it is what it is. Yusuke Hamaguchi, man. Evil Does Not Exist. Dude, I've seen that movie twice, and I want to see it 8 more times. I mean, that movie just floored me. It's so good. It is so, so good. And then we have Femme. Don't know too much about that. His Three Daughters. There you go. And then Janet Planet, which I hear is great as well. another A24 film. That's a really cool category. Then we have Best Director, Pael Kapadia. All We Imagine Is Light. I got a feeling All We Imagine Is Light is going to show up a lot in the international film categories of the precursors, and it's not gonna be nominated for an Oscar because India. That's a real shame. It really is one of the best movies of the year. I still need to see it, but I've been hearing nothing but absolute raves. So she gets into director, and that's wonderful. Sean Baker and Nora, of course. Guan Hu for Black Dog. I hear Black Dog is another sleeper hit of the film. It's a Chinese film that I think it won the Un Certain Regard film at the Cannes Film Festival. And it wasn't submitted by China, so it won't get nominated for international feature. But I hear great things about that film as well. Jane Shunbrin, I Saw a TV Glow. Very, very, very inspired pick. And Ramel Ross, Nickel Boys, another very inspired pick, which I hope he gets nominated for the Oscar. And honestly, if I'm going to be honest, y'all, he's my pick for director this year. I thought about it a little bit, and if I were to give Best Director out right now and call it a day, it's not going to be Sean Baker. As great as he is, as great as his directing work is on Anora and all of his films, as great as Brady Corbet, let's get this out of the way. Is it Corbet or Corbett? I'm going to say Corbett until I'm proven otherwise. Brady Corbet, incredible director, did an incredible job with The Brutalist, but as far as like an original vision and that vision being brought to life so effortlessly and immaculately, Ramel Ross, Nickel Boys. He's my pick for Best Director. As of right now, unbelievable. And then we got documentary feature Dahomey, which I hear great things about. Intercepted, No Other Land, soundtrack to a coup d'etat, which is a film about Max Roach and Abby Lincoln, jazz musicians. It's not about jazz, but it's about more of a political documentary. Sugarcane and Union. And then we have international feature. We have All We Imagine Is Light. We have Green Border. We have Hard Truths from director Mike Leigh. We have Inside the Yellow Cocoon Show, which is kind of a sleeper hit. And then we have Vermiglio from Italy, which won, I think it won a jury prize at Venice Film Festival. So there's that. And then we have Best Feature. We have Anora. We have Baby Girl, which was kind of a surprise. We have Challengers getting in without any other nominations in any other category. Very cool. Very cool. Still one of my favorite movies of the year. We have A Different Man, which I just talked about a lot. And then we have Nickel Boys. Very cool. Really, really great group of nominations. Really, really great. Some weird snubs here and there, but man, so cool. Very cool. So that's going to be, I think the ceremony is going to be, I don't know when, December 2nd. That's coming up, man. That's in a little over 2 weeks. That's a little over 2 weeks away. So just after Thanksgiving. Cool. Well, there you go. There's our primer for the year, ladies and gentlemen. That's the award season primer before we get into the actual precursors. And yeah, we are just about mid-season, man. Pretty wild. So yeah, that's the Gotham nominations. Some other developments. So the Dune. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on with the Dune Part 2 score? Is it going to be nominated or not? We don't know. So here's what's going on. So obviously Dune Part 2's score, one of the best scores of the year, absolutely incredible. Of course, Hans Zimmer won for the first Dune, So I think it all started when Warner. So Warner Brothers, did Warner Brothers do Dune Part 2? Am I wrong there? Let's see, Dune Part 2. Keyboard ASMR. You're welcome. Distributed by Warner Brothers. Yeah. So Warner Brothers put out their FYC ad campaign, and they did not list Hans Zimmer for best score as a part of their campaign. And people were like, what the hell is going on? So then people started assuming that it's because that the Dune Part 2 score was deemed ineligible for the Oscars. And then I believe an article from Variety came out saying that it was ineligible. It used too much of... The Oscars have this weird, stupid rule that if there's more than, I want to say, like 20 or 30% of music that's used in a film from another source, say like another film or another body of work, it is deemed ineligible for Oscar nomination consideration. It's why Birdman missed a nomination. It's why There Will Be Blood missed a nomination. It happens. It's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate rule, but it happens. But in the Variety article, they never really confirmed that it was ineligible or not. They were, I think it was just an assumption piece, I guess. They were just like, oh, it's ineligible because they didn't include it on their FYC thing. But then, I want to say a week or so later, they re-uploaded their FYC thing, including Hans Zimmer for best score. So now they're campaigning it. Now they're campaigning for best score. So nobody knows what the hell is going on. I'm sure it's going to get into all of the precursors, and it might even win most of the precursors. Who knows? And then Oscar nominations morning, it's just going to be a wild card until we get confirmation that it is ineligible or not. At this point, we don't know. We still don't really know for sure if it's ineligible or not. And that is frustrating for me. Because I predict stuff. I speculate for a living here, folks. So what's going on? Is it eligible or not? Let me know. I mean, so... Yeah, I don't know. I think I might still include it in my predictions. I'm gonna still include it for now, and then that 5 and slick slot is just gonna be a wild card. It's just gonna be like, all right, if Dune gets in, this is gonna get nominated. If it doesn't, then these 1 or 2 films will get nominated for score. So it's gonna be a weird category all year, and that is until we get definitive confirmation from the Academy saying, "Oh, Dune Part 2 ineligible for best score." In any case, people who don't follow the award season like I do, when Oscar nominations come out, people are going to be like, where the hell is Dune Part 2? And everyone's going to just be like, bro, where do we even begin? Whatever. So yeah, I don't know whether the Dune Part 2 score is back or not. I don't know. It's neither here nor there. Whatever. We'll see what happens. And I guess the last thing here I have is there's some films that will be in contention for several Oscars, and they have not been released yet, but there have been reactions from them. And mainly there are 4 films. Gladiator 2, Wicked, and those 2 films are coming out at the same time around Thanksgiving. And then we have Nosferatu and A Complete Unknown, which both of those films come out on Christmas. Gladiator 2, when it first was being screened at, don't think it was a festival player, but like when it premiered when it had its premieres, people were kind of eating it up, and people were writing pieces on it and saying, "Oh, we're so back. Ridley Scott's back. This is fantastic. It's a cinematic spectacle." And, I kind of believed it. I was like, oh, dude, it's going to be a player then. It's definitely going to be a huge awards player. But then other people were saying, take it with a grain of salt. These reviewers post these reviews, at these premieres, kind of praising the film, not only to kind of like get the hype train for the film going, but also to like, get it's also a political thing, unfortunately. Like these reviewers and these critics want to be on the sides of the distributors and the filmmakers just so they can get invited to the next screening for the next film. It's weird. So, and this was news to me. I had never realized this, but I'm kind of picking up on it now. Now that actual reactions have been coming out for it, and they're a little bit more lukewarm. People are a little bit more lukewarm on it. Paul Mescal doesn't really have as great of an actor he is, he doesn't really have the star-making quality that Russell Crowe had. The film is it's just kind of like a popcorn flick. It's the storytelling really isn't at the same level as the first one, but is entertaining nonetheless and technically brilliant nonetheless. But I feel like Gladiator 2 coming out, it's going to be overshadowed by another little movie called Wicked, or Wicked Part 1, I guess. But we're just calling it Wicked at this point. Wicked, on the other hand, I hear is getting absolute raves. People are saying it's one of the best movie musicals since Chicago. That's a swing. That's a huge swing. I mean, West Side Story exists, but whatever. But I think, Wicked sounds like it's really going to make a killing, not only at the box office, but I've been hearing nothing but raves about it as far as the quality of the film. So, kind of a surprise for me. I was like, okay, well, this could have gone either way, but apparently it's really good. And if it's getting the raves that I see that it's getting, then it's going to be a big player. Mostly below the line. I think Cynthia Erivo. Okay, who's revving up outside? Y'all hear that? Is my pop filter working okay? Someone just revved up their vehicle from outside my window. And I'm like, bruh, trying to record a podcast here, man. Let me take a sip of water. Okay. What was I even talking about? Thanks a lot. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Wicked. So Wicked's gonna make a lot of money. So that comes out in a couple weeks, maybe a week and a half. And yeah, it's gonna be a below the line player. Cynthia Erivo, she'll probably get into musical or comedy at Golden Globe. And maybe Critics' Choice, but it might stop there. It might not. Maybe she'll get a surprise BAFTA nod like Fantasia Barrino in The Color Purple. But I've heard that Ariana Grande actually kind of steals the show a little bit. Her supporting performance is apparently fantastic. So maybe she can get some recognition, maybe even a supporting actress nomination. I think she's in my 5 right now, strangely enough. So, yeah, I think production design, I think it's a front runner in production design. It's a front runner in costume design. Makeup and hairstyling is kind of a maybe because there's not really a lot of prosthetics, and we all know that the Academy loves their prosthetics, and there's a lot of prosthetic picks this year between A Different Man and The Substance and I don't know, bro. Just those two, really. What do I even have for makeup and hairstyling? Where are my current predictions now? I do need to update my predictions for sure because there's been a lot of developments here. Here we go. OscarGuyHere.com/predictions. Go check it out. OscarGuyHere.com. I still update it, folks. I still update it. HTTPS, bro. I got an SSL on this son bitch. Come on. All right, here we go. Let's see. Makeup and hairstyling. Yeah, the substance. Oh, yeah, Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2, Gladiator 2, Different Man. That's 4 right there. And then we also have Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. That has a lot of prosthetics. Oh, and Nosferatu. Duh. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Sasquatch Sunset, bro. That's another one. Yeah, it's an uphill battle for some of these non-prosthetic picks. So makeup and hairstyling, strangely, is a maybe for Wicked. But I'm certain it'll get into Best Picture at this point. So yeah, that's coming out. Nosferatu, I hear, is also fantastic. I mean, guys, it's a horror movie. We all know what the Academy thinks of horror movies. It's still gonna be an uphill battle, but it is. I hear it's Robert Eggers' best film. It's gonna be his most financially successful. It's definitely eviscerating and very, very glowing reactions for sure. I hear it's just dark as hell. It's erotic, I guess, from what I hear. So that's another wrench that's thrown in the Oscar chances. But technically, I hear it's a big player. Cinematography, maybe even editing, costume design, production design, makeup and hairstyling. I've been hearing a lot of great buzz for Lily Rose Depp and her amazing performance. But then again, it's a horror movie, man. It's a horror movie. At the end of the day. So I still have some doubts. I don't have as many doubts as I did maybe a month or so ago. But now that the reactions have come out for it, and I hear it's actually pretty incredible, I think it has a better shot at getting some nominations. We'll see how the Academy responds to it. You know, it's a much different horror film now, but still, will it be a sensation? Like, horror films don't make it into the Oscars if they're not sensations. Get Out was a sensation. Silence of the Lambs was a sensation. I mean, it very rarely happens. If Nosferatu turns out to be a culture-defining sensation like those two films, then yes, I will predict it for Best Picture and some other, categories. But at this point, it's still a tech player, and that's about it. So that's where I'm gonna draw the line there. And then we have A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan biopic starring our boy Timmy Chalamet and Edward Norton and Elle Fanning, among some other folks. I haven't heard really much reactions at all about this film. But the one thing that was released was a Timothy Chalamet interview where he talked about his approach to playing Bob Dylan and his process and everything like that. And it seems like he was very passionate about this role. He's delivering something pretty unique. It's not really a caricature per se. He's not really doing like one-to-one like physical impressions, but he's kind of like channeling this vibe and this aesthetic that Bob Dylan just possessed. And so he's kind of approaching the performance from that perspective, which I thought was really interesting. So I don't know how well that's going to pull off on screen in the context of the film. So we'll see how all the pieces kind of fall into place when the film comes out. But that's pretty much all we know right there. Yeah, there's not really any outside of that. I mean, I hear Edward Norton kind of steals the thing in some aspects, but we're just going to have to see how that performs alongside Nosferatu. So those are the 4 films that are like kind of the wild cards as we're in the middle of award season now. So just wanted to talk out loud, think out loud in regards to those films there. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's where we'll call it. we've covered a lot. We've covered quite a bit, and there are more developments happening by the day. So, I think we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there, folks. That was it. We had a lot to cover. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening. As always, folks, catch me on YouTube. I know I haven't made a video in quite a bit, but I'd like to get a couple quickie reviews out as some of these films are coming out. A Real Pain just released wide today, so I think I'm going to be doing a quickie review of that because I have seen that film. So maybe stay tuned for that. And maybe I'll do another predictions video, maybe a pre-Golden Globe nominations predictions video, maybe around Thanksgiving or so. So I think that might be on the docket as well. And of course, I'm going to be keeping up with all the latest developments and going to be, intermittently doing this podcast. I think I was doing it once per week, but I think that got to be a lot for me. So I apologize, but I think I'll just be doing a podcast whenever I have enough to talk about and whenever I am able and whenever I am up to doing it. So I hope you guys understand. So yeah, I think roughly maybe every other week or so. But in any case, thanks y'all for listening in. YouTube, Oscar Guy here. If you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what to tell you. Got to do it. OscarGuyHere.com. Check out my website. Letterboxd, JazzMusic131. Follow me. X Twitter, Oscar Guy Here. Follow me. Instagram, Oscar Guy Here. Follow me. Until then, have a good one, folks. Yeah. Until next time. Thanks again for listening. Oscar Guy is